Hi, everyone. Kyra here. I hope you're doing good. Hope you're feeling good. I hope you're feeling like you're looking good. I don't know why I keep saying that every time I start one of these, but we are where we are. So, welcome to Why Do I Do That? Why do I do what I do? Hey, Michelle. Hi, Michelle. How you doing, girlfriend? um, I'll just go ahead and use myself as an example. Because today I was like, hey, you know what? I think I want to start a new program. I'm going to do our intuitive flash for sure with guests, and also to just kind of whenever I get the intuitive flash. And then Rachel, what's up, girlfriend? And then I thought to myself, I want to kind of get going with helping practitioners work with their clients and that kind of thing, but also to why do I do that? Why do I do those things that I do? And after 20 years of experience in the professional development, personal development field, self-help field, I feel that I'm pretty qualified. But here's what happened to me this morning. So I go, and this is like the opposite of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Dunning-Kruger effect says, I know very little, but think I know everything. Imposter syndrome is kind of like, I know a lot, and I know that I don't know everything because I've learned a lot. So I know that I don't know to some degree, but at the same time, adding in that negative effect of, am I good enough? Do I have enough awareness? Do I have enough knowledge to speak confidently on this particular topic? So anyway, but this morning, and some would call this the ego, but there's also other components to overthinking. And overthinking is kind of a big one because we can think of it in a negative way, and we can also think of it in a positive way. There's a lot of positives to overthinking. So anyway, I'll just tell you my thing real quick. So I was like, okay, I love doing these things. I love doing Facebook Lives. I love talking to people. I enjoy it. And then for some reason, the ego wanted to come in, or just my self-talk or the overthinking part of my mind came in and started to say, what are your disclaimers? How are you gonna tell people what you know and what you don't know and how you should be and shouldn't be, all these kinds of things? What are you going to explain to them that it's some of this is pseudopsychology, some of this is spiritual psychology, some of this is and so my mind started swimming in this mire of of information. We'll call it information. And if you're joining us, please feel free to say hi to us say hi to us, me and all of my personalities. Say hi to me in the comments. I would love to see you, and if you have questions about overthinking, I'm happy to answer them too. So usually when I have one of these things that goes on, right? Hey Peggy, what's up? One of the things that I do is I will go online. And I'll think to myself, okay, why do I do that thing? So let's go ahead and take a look at what the interwebs says about overthinking. And let me go ahead and do that here. Hopefully this will work. Please put in the comments if this doesn't work. So I'm just going to do overthinking just broadly, and I'll share my screen here. Okay. Boop. Share. There we go. All right. So the first thing that pops up is, what is overthinking and how do I stop it? I must wrestle overthinking to the ground, right? It's also considered rumination. So that is true. We can just kind of get fixated on one thing and think it through. We've got Tony Robbins has some things to say. Forbes has some things to say. What causes it, and then 6 ways to stop it. Psychotherapist shares the 3 exercises she uses every day to help reduce her overthinking. And then this is fun, some images of overthinking. What does overthinking look like? I think it's kind of fun to explore this. Hopefully, I don't show any weird pictures that come up. And then let's do overthinking personality types. Because sometimes, let me look at all here. So personality types, like MBTI, things like that. Is there an overthinker personality? Is there a symptom? And what MBTI types are they the biggest thinkers? And they're kind of saying INTJ can be an overthinking type, ISTJ. I think we all, in all of our personalities, can definitely have a tendency to overthink, depending on what's going on with us. So, INFJs can get into a loop where we start to overthink too much. All right. And then let's look at this. And I think this is always a really good thing, is to just say positive. What's a positive side? It's like, what? It delays the decision-making process. So what are the pros of overthinking? It delays this decision-making process. Overthinking means that instead of making a decision, you're still thinking about how to make that decision. It requires research. It may include others into the decision-making process. So essentially, it's really good for problem solving, things like that. Let's see. Yeah, so that's usually what I do first whenever I have a kind of issue that pops up for me, is I will say, okay, Rachel, Kuan Yin. What? Hi. I'm not going to do Kuan Yin today, but I will be. So anyway, the main thing is that the question is, why do I do that? Why do I get into the cyclical thinking? So from one perspective, you can look at it from a chemical side. You could have an increase of cortisol. You wake up in the morning. Usually that's when our cortisol is a lot higher. And then all of the thinking process start to come in. And it's kind of triggered and by that chemical overload. So that's one way to look at it. So when you're working with clients, let's say in your practice, and they're coming to you and they're beating themselves up about overthinking, let them know that a lot of people do that. A lot of different personality types do that. It's a decision-making function. It's not something that's necessarily bad. It is something that can actually be very helpful. What I found with working with clients in my experience, when I was seeing 50 clients a week or whatever craziness that was that the one thing that they appreciated about my approach to helping them with their healing was that I would find the positive side, the good side of what was being experienced through them and for them. And we would find a way to calibrate to what was right about the situation instead of everything that was going wrong about it. So even in my overthinking, what it helped me to do this morning was to say, I'm going to still choose to do it anyway. I'm not going to worry about disclaimers. I'm not going to worry about all that stuff. That is just something that tends to come into my awareness whenever I'm trying to stop myself. The other thing that happens in the overthinking scenario is that it is a function of stress and anxiety, and in some cases, depression. So if you already have or have been diagnosed, or it's something you think you have, anxiety, stress, things like that, you're already kind of like, yeah, I think I kind of got that kind of stuff going on. What you essentially want to do is to discover ways of your own self-soothing, of your own process of allowing yourself to recognize, okay, that's the type of thing I've got going on. How do I want to reduce my stress so that I can see, is this really a problem solving situation, right? Or is this just a stress response? So our overthinking mind can simply be doing us a favor in one way, but it can also be something that is an activated force from our tendencies to already be anxious, and have those kind of anxious, depressive, or stress responses to things. So, hey, Kathy. Hey, Kathy girl, what's going on? So whenever we look at overthinking, it really gets in the way. And this is kind of cool, actually, Kathy. I'm glad you're here because, it goes actually can directly correlate with things like channeling, allowing in loving energy to flow through us, to connect us with our higher selves, to connect us with our higher good. Because when we're overthinking those processes, I'm doing this wrong. I should be doing it differently. Why am I not doing it right? Or why am I not doing it exactly like they're doing it? And whatever kinds of things that tend to pop up into our consciousness when it comes to overthinking things, it can stop us. I mean, it almost stopped me today from doing this video where I'm just presenting an idea and concepts around overthinking. I'll also give you a couple of tools here at the end to help you with the strategy of releasing and letting go of any overthinking that might be happening. But for right now, we're just simply kind of talking about it and getting clear about those overthinking processes that happen naturally. So what I do is I go, okay, well, what is it that's really happening? So I'll go out, I'll look something up, just like I did a minute ago, and I'll go, okay, what are the positives? What kinds of things can I gain from this awareness? And where am I really in this situation? And then once I do that and I figure out, okay, here's where I am. This is what I want. This is what's aligned with my goals. Am I going to allow my overthinking behaviors that are connected to anxiety? Am I going to allow that to hold me back from my creative ability, my putting myself out there, my owning the wisdom that I have? What is it going? What am I going to allow it to do? Am I going to allow it to stop me? And for the most part, luckily, with the amount of work that I've done on myself personally around stress and anxiety and depression, is that I will say, no, I'm just not willing to do that anymore. I'm not willing to let anything kind of stop me. And it's taken a long time to get to that place. So, as I feel like what I have to share is valuable. There are people in this world who need what you have to offer. Think about and consider all of the people in this world. And if you're going to be working with clients, or you're going to be channeling, in person with people, or you're thinking about doing some mediumship, or you're thinking about stepping out and doing this work for people, having this perspective of, I can't let anything stop me from that, because what I have to offer is valuable. I don't know who it's valuable to necessarily. I don't necessarily have to have that all figured out right now. But what I have to offer matters. And that's one of the reasons why we do collaboration books and summits and speaking engagements and all those kinds of things, is offering an opportunity for people to have a space in a safe way, safety in numbers, to come together and co-create together. Because in that space, we're able to connect with different ideas, and we're able to promote each other's thoughts, that are good and healthy, and help to reduce some of that overthinking that happens naturally whenever we do any big new thing. That, at least for me, it tends to come up more and more, is that overthinking piece. And Kathy is in our channeling class. And so very, very cool. And I've still got two spots left. I'm curious of who those people are going to be, because I got very clearly it was going to be 9 of us. So, but anyway, Kathy, it's so cool. And she's saying right here, I'm in my head a lot. Yeah. And I think a lot of us are. We are in our head a lot, and we are wanting to work through problems and situations and difficulties before they become a problem, situation, or difficulty. And so for me, I'm an INFJ, so I'm an intuitive. I'm an introvert, intuitive feeler, judger. So when I look at something, I look at patterns. So from one perspective, I can see something through all the way to the end, and then make my decisions from there and say, ooh, that's not going to work out so good. But because there is a skew to the past, from the past, I'm going to skew my potential possible results based on my past experience. And so, unfortunately, that can cause me to overthink and stop myself and future project and say, that's not going to work out. This is going to be bad, that thing that happens. And that isn't always true. So allowing ourselves to get outside of that framework, if you happen to be one of those types of people, because a lot of the people that would be listening to anything that I have to say are probably intuitive, they're probably feelers, or one of the two. And so you guys probably have some of this awareness that you can kind of project or see into the future a little bit. And in some ways it's really good. And in other ways we can be skewed by our past. So one thing about that is that when we use something like overthinking as a positive, and we say, okay, oh, I see my mind is very active right now, right? It's reframing it in this way. And you can certainly do this with your clients, people that you work with. If they say, I'm just, oh, there's so much going on in here. There's a couple of things you can compartmentalize, so helping them. And people with OCD are really, really excellent at this. So again, that's another one of those positives. We tend to only think of any kind of maladaptive to a normal society as being something wrong or bad. And in fact, it can actually be incredibly useful. It's just that sometimes, depending upon how it is overlaid upon, it's told that it's not right, not good. And then the judgment comes in, the self-judgment, the self-criticism starts to overlap. And instead of us seeing those good parts, we can tend to look at it as not being as good of a thing as it should be. And so when we look at something like, overthinking, compartmentalizing, it can be really helpful. One of the strategies that we used with our clients was just basically using that imagination, that powerful imagination that you have that controls basically everything you've got going on here. If you tap into, really, truly, there is nothing that you don't either visualize, hear, feel, taste, smell, that doesn't connect you with some internal reality, right? So, we don't just necessarily, not all of us, but some of us do just think words, but usually words are connected to all of our sensory understanding of things. So all of the sensation that comes into our experience anchors up with our memories and our triggers, the things that affect us. So when we're able to compartmentalize all of those things, can be really helpful. So one way is doing it through the imagination, right? And saying, okay, you're in your room, and this room is going to be all of the things in your mind. And in this mind room of yours, we're going to have 3 or 4 boxes, or 5 boxes, or 10 boxes, or however much, as you're working with your client, you feel like that's what it should be. And put labels on each one of the boxes. Now, the trick to being a really great hypnotist is also having a pretty good memory. So if you have a lot of boxes, remember, you're the one that has to manage all that. I generally have 3 boxes. So in your mind, going into that room that represents all of the clutter and all the stuff you've got going on, and then putting the clutter into boxes and organizing it. And it can happen relatively quickly. If you're doing it yourself, on yourself, compartmentalizing those thoughts, ideas, fragments of different things can be really helpful. So you just ask yourself not to necessarily go into any boxes that are not being on display right now, because that's what kind of happens. Is that for me this morning, it was the imposter syndrome, not good enough, unworthy box was trying to unflap itself, right? So instead we go, oh, wait a minute. No, I'm not using that box today. I'm gonna use I know what I'm talking about because I have 20 years of experience and I've worked with thousands of clients, and that's the box I'm going to dig into right now, right? So if you have boxes in your consciousness, one's the unworthy box. You say, not today. Not today. Get behind me, right? Not today. And get into that confidence box, and you're going to see that it gets a lot easier to manage some of those overthinking things. So, and that's really what I did. I said, wait a minute, hold on, wait, pause. What's really happening here? And so that overthinking piece was able to be a bit squelched way, because I got onto the right track in my consciousness. I got on the right track in my thinking. I was on a track that was unresourceful. I wouldn't say it's a bad track. I wouldn't say it's the wrong track, maybe not right for right now, but it wasn't the most resourceful track. Okay. So that's the thing that would happen with me a lot when I would talk to clients. And as you're speaking to your clients too, if they come to you with this thought or this idea, which is being very open to anything possible happening, and letting yourself guide them, or yourself, if you're needing guidance in your own way, guiding yourself to a better feeling place of a deeper truth, right? And what is that deeper truth? The deeper truth is that there is only love. You cannot do it wrong. Everything is fine. And even if you did do something wrong, you did say something wrong, you can correct it, you can change it, you can shift it. I know in the world, when we're looking at it now and we look at social media, or we look at stuff like that, and we go, oh boy, they said the wrong thing, or they did the wrong thing. And then they're getting whatever the term the kids are using now, canceled or something. And I say, maybe, but there's still people in this world that love those people, and there's still people in this world who love how amazing they are, and, it's fine. It's just say what you want to say, know what you know, and trust yourself to give good, loving, positive, uplifting messages in this world. If you want to get out there and be super polarizing, yeah, you might overthink some of that stuff. It might be really hard on you. There might be a lot going on there, and you want to just, kick the baby like down the street. Okay, well, you're going to get some backlash for that. There's going to be bad things that happen or result from that. So for me, I'm not a very polarizing person. I'm a very allowing, permissive, and I save my judgments internally for at home, and I work through whatever it is that might be going on in me that is causing me to have a reaction to whatever's happened externally. And then that helps me personally to just stay the course for myself. So again, this can actually even seem, this whole thing that I'm even saying here could also seem like a big overthinking kind of conversation. And yes, it is easy just to say a deep breath, take a deep breath, and go, yeah, I don't know what anything means or what anything's for. I don't know why I'm overthinking. Maybe I'm not supposed to know. And I just have these overthinking thoughts, and they're a little cyclical, but they have nothing to do with anything. And that's okay. I can let myself relax in that. I can let myself rest in that. I can let myself know that all is well. I can let myself believe that it's possible that all good things are coming to me all the time. You know, I can let my shoulders relax. I can go and do literally anything else right now and take my mind off of any stress or concern that I have. Sure, I can do all of that. Because if you're anything like me and you have looked at any of the stuff that's been happening, I get a little, my shoulders start to get up here. I start wearing my shoulders as earrings, and it can feel really, really hard to manage my own feelings and thoughts about it. The thing is that I'm quiet. I don't externally, um, express what I'm feeling and thinking. I go through it in my mind first. And there are some people in this world who externally process their experience. And taking a moment, taking a step back, and allowing ourselves, like if you have that thing where you like to process externally, you like to talk to people, or keyboard warrior a little bit, or let all of this thinking that you have come out without fully processing it through and making sure that it checks all the boxes for yourself, to really allow yourself to be guided through the process of that then expression. If you process externally, taking a breath, taking a moment, and writing it out can sometimes be good. If you want to talk into like a tape recorder or something, that could be good. Tape recorder, that's like 80s, right? On your phone, your app. Talking it through can be really good with a friend who's compassionate, who's not going to judge you and make you feel bad for the opinion that you have, who's willing to be quiet. That can be really helpful too. And just having a space, to be able to express without going out into the world with it and wanting to get reassurance that what it is that you're thinking is right. These are just thoughts. These are ideas. These are not like, I'm not telling you, I'm not your therapist. I'm not telling you have to do it this way. I'm just making a suggestion. If you do naturally process externally to get things out, doing it in a safe way is just going to be healthier overall for you and everyone. If you are an internal person like me who does not outwardly express very often when it comes to what is going on inside, my husband says this. I said this with Lisa yesterday. He said, I don't know what's going on with you until you either blow up or something really, you get really excited and you want to really truly express everything. And I was like, I know. And that's one of the good things about doing these Facebook Lives is that I've already thought through everything. By the time it gets to my mouth, I have vetted it fully. And if you're listening to this, you probably do that too. If you're kind of more of on the introverted side, you probably have vet what you're saying. And so as you are doing this, my recommendation for those of us who do process a lot more internally is to become more expressive, is to speak more about what it is that you're feeling, again, in a safe way, in an environment where there's somebody who will really, truly listen to you and love you through that process. Because just putting it out there, on social media or whatever, even like Messenger or, or just kind of glancing at it in passing with somebody that you're kind of hanging out with doesn't necessarily resolve the issue. And I think that that's why there's been such a big uptick in people wanting counselors and helpmates and people they can just talk to and coaches and that kind of thing, especially over the last couple of years, because people have found that their normal way isn't as effective as doing things. So I think it can be really helpful. So if you are overthinking to the point of anxiety, so we've got kind of a scale, right? We have our overthinking mild, I'm kind of not feeling like I'm worthy today, right? And then giving evidence to support that, right? So it's kind of on that side, kind of mild, to kind of a mid range where it starts to get a little bit out of hand, where we're overthinking and it's starting to affect our decision making. We're not essentially moving forward with a project, or we're delaying ourselves, or we're not allowing ourselves to put ourselves out there in any way whatsoever, or we're not taking control of that project, or we're not using our voice, or we're just holding ourselves back. All the way to the extreme side where that anxiety and that cortisol is spiked so hard that it'll either take you out. I'm pointing to the bed. It'll take, and I know this from personal experience. Sometimes my overthinking has raised and spiked my cortisol so hard that I go right into my depressive mode. So then it's okay, time for a nap, because I have no adrenaline, cortisol, everything has been sucked out of my body, because I've just been laying into my anxiety so hard. I need to counterbalance that. And so and this is where some people get caught up too. They're like, well, now I'm depressed. Well, actually, you've just kind of got a chemical imbalance going on, because this side of things, the anxiety side, has just had a lot more play. And sometimes people just hearing that can be really helpful. I know in our practice, when we were seeing clients, that was my focus. Anxiety was my focus. And because I get it. I didn't read it out of a book and thought, oh, golly gee, that sounds like something fun to do. Nope. I get it. I get anxiety through and through. I understand it from a psychological, chemical, emotional. I get it from my own work that I've done on myself, and varying levels, right? So these are things that have come into my understanding, have come into my awareness along the way, that have helped me with really seeing my clients, and seeing and getting it, and loving them through it, because it is one of the hardest things when we're told that we were broken. I was told, yeah, you're screwed. You've got, at least that's what it felt like. But, the psychoanalyst when I was in college was basically, yeah, you're in bad shape, and you're not going to ever get rid of this. This is never going to change for you. And having that kind of diagnosis and label get placed on me at an early age was just absolutely devastating. And what I think comes to the table with the work that I've done with people, at least through me, has been acceptance, love, guidance, truth, and just being there. Sometimes I would just sit with my clients and just be with them, because that to me was one of the most beautiful and heartfelt things that anyone could do for me. Because I had that done after, when I started learning Reiki, because I was like, I can't manage any of this stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. And the allopathic world just wasn't working. And I just had a beautiful friend just sit with me and be with me 100% with me. And when you're working with your clients, you're working with people in this world, that truly is the gift that you give. And you also give a little bit of hope. It's just saying to them, yeah, I get it. I see you. You are so lovable in this experience that you're having, and you can't do it wrong here. So when you're working with your clients and they come to you and they're like, my mind is just racing, there's a couple of things you can do, which I've already mentioned. One is compartmentalize, help them put their experience a little bit into boxes and remind them of what box they're opening. And I mentioned that before. Taking a deep breath, exhaling. And sometimes that swirling thought stuff gets stuck up here energetically. So allowing yourself to move that energetic feeling down through the body and out through the bottoms of the feet can be a really empowering thing that you can do with your clients as well. That's something that can be really helpful in Reiki, is really standing at their feet, essentially, if they're laying on a table, staying at their feet and just guiding them through that process. Just bring all in, having your hands on their body if you do touch them, but having your hands there and just saying, I want you to imagine that you can bring all of those thoughts all the way down through your body, down to my hands, down to where my hands are. Just imagine all those thoughts going all the way down to where my hands are. And you don't take energy into your body. We know that. But just saying, and letting that thoughts, all those thoughts, just imagine they run out of the bottoms of your feet. Just all the thoughts, all that anxiety, all that concern, all those overthinking thoughts. That can be a really cool tool. The deep breath and just saying, I am where I am. I am okay. Everything is good. Everything is working well for me. I know good things are coming to me. Doing some of those positive affirmations, not overly positive, but just more centered, loving, and clear, right? And then, as far as that goes, doing all the other stuff like managing, diet, if you're overly compensating with caffeine and all those kinds of things, those can contribute to some of those triggers. And just taking your time. You don't have to have it all figured out. If you're overthinking, you're in an overthinking process, ask yourself this. You can ask your inner being, you can ask source, you can ask, universal principle, you can just ask your higher self, you can ask your mind even. How can I go back down that scale? What kinds of things can I do right now to help me go back down that scale and become really the observer of your experience instead of the player in your experience? Just let yourself come up with some ideas all on your own, because that's really something that can be very connecting. So, it's Liz Dawn. Yeah. Yes. So fabulous. I completely agree and get it. Hey, girlfriend. Kathy is saying, I process externally more, I think. Yeah. And that's totally wonderful. Everything has its place. Everything has its purpose. And if you are processing more externally, that can be incredibly beneficial, because you may have a little bit of an easier time connecting and talking to people. It's all about finding the right people to connect and talk to. Ones that they can be just a simple loving friend to just connect with on these ideas too. Yeah. So since you process externally, I think this is good, because also too, Kathy, when it comes to channeling, I think you're going to have a much easier way of allowing it to flow through you. It's not going to get stopped up in the normal thinking processes that introverts have. So I think it's really healthy and really fun and really good. So let's explore that more in class. Okay, guys, I am going to go ahead and head off here. I feel like I have wrung this chamois, and I'm so grateful that you joined me. This has been really fun. I really enjoyed it. Why do I do that? Why do I do that thing that I do? Why do I overthink? So we went through a lot of the reasons. We gave you a few more ideas and suggestions on how to balance that. You can also, of course, go out online, find if there's some other ideas out there for you. We also talked about the good things that come along with overthinking. It can be really positive and helpful in many ways, as long as we don't get stuck in those traps. And we talked about that compartmentalizing piece, and I think that can be really helpful as well. So, yay, Kathy, very fun. Can't wait for the class. Peggy, thank you, Peggy. It's so good to see you out here. And yes, I will see you again soon, and maybe we'll talk more about why I do that. Why do I do that thing that I do? Sounds like a Dr. Seuss poem, doesn't it? Why I do that thing that I do. And I love you guys. If you want to take the channeling class that we're going to have out there, it is at masterycollective.com and masterycollective.com/events. Okay. And then we also have, I've already opened up enrollment for our hypnotherapy school. So that's out at hypnotherapieschool.net. And if you've been wanting to be trained as a hypnotherapist, I'd love to help you with that whole process. We have also just created a new payment plan for hypnotherapy training to make things a bit easier for you to pay for your training and for your certification. And then we also have just made it easier overall. So if you want to hop on a phone call with me, I do have that availability out there to schedule a phone call. All right, guys, thank you so much. I hope you have a great day and keep doing what you're doing. You can't do it wrong. I love you all. Mwah!